what's going on, everybody? This is David Brooks, the Cadillac Counselor, coming at you to always tell you a piece of my mind. And you know that I have been on my best ability to try to get as many people that's running for the board out of the 17 to have them interviewed because I believe that why are we just going to go in and just look at either the Apple ballot or oppose the Apple ballot and just mark names. And so I don't want people to just mark names. I want people to have a face. I want them to listen to their voice and then understand their opinions before they go out and vote. So I have someone with me, a new candidate. Her name is Tabitha McLoughlin, and she has a lot to bring to the table. And I want you to hear what she is going to do if she makes it into the Board of Education. So, Tabby, it's a very good. Oh, Tabitha, is it Tabitha? I got too comfortable. I apologize. But Tabitha, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am a mom. I have a 14-year-old son who is in ninth grade in the Frederick County Public School System. I am a business manager at this time, and I've taught kindergarten through second grade, which was really fun. I enjoyed it. I also took care of my father-in-law for 8 years who had Alzheimer's, which was also very fun because I got to correlate, like, I would bring him to the classroom so that the kids could interact with him. And we would do these wheelchair chases. It was fun. It was like wheelchair tag is what we would call it. And the kids loved it, and it was good for them, and it was good for my father-in-law too. And I started my life in the Air Force, the United States Air Force, active duty. And then from there, I just kind of moved around the world and the country, and finally settled down when I met my current husband, and we have a child, and I've been in Maryland ever since. And that was, wow, 20 years ago, dating myself.
Hey, I mean, we all have to date ourselves at one time, but like I say, the 40 is the new 20. You know, I feel like I'm right around the corner, never left high school. So that's just the way it is. But it's a pleasure to have you on. And my first question to you is let's just go ahead and put it out there. You said let's make the kids great again. What is that perspective about?
So thank you for asking. So I've noticed that when I looked back at Frederick County and Montgomery County, because I saw somewhere that Frederick County said they wanted to be more like Montgomery County. So then I looked at the two, and the reading levels aren't on par to what they were 10 years ago. They're not, the math skills aren't on par to what they were 10 years ago. So I would really like to get back to that. Would like to get back to educating them on something that they can utilize in the future.
Well, I mean, listen, if we can get these kids, because I'm gonna tell you, cell phones, these electronics, I mean, it's just getting out of hand to me. I mean, everybody has their own opinions about what they would like school to look like. Have you ever thought about like what cell phones and these electronics, what do you think they're doing to our kids? I mean, I look at my kids. My kids don't even have a book. Like there's no. They come home with a Chromebook, and then I'm sitting there fighting them to do their homework when they're playing games and everything else. So, have you ever thought about what you could bring to the table to kind of help a parent like me out?
I'm so glad you asked that. So um, I am surrounded by children on a daily basis where I work. And we have regulars that come in. And there's these two boys specifically that came in, and they always want to tell me they're in middle school, and they always want to tell me about their school. Well, I ask, right? How's school going? What do you like about it? What do you don't like about it? And one of the things that they do not like and that they complain about is the Chromebook, and everything is done on the Chromebook. So the one young man stated that his handwriting is really bad. He can barely read it. and his parents can barely read it. He's about to go into high school from middle school, but he has no handwriting skills because of being in front of a Chromebook all the time. So I thought that I've seen studies where handwriting really triggers the brain and the brain to work, and it triggers you to think more and think more for yourself. And if that's not happening, then it tells me that these kids aren't thinking for themselves and they're not able to process those things. So I I see it as a demise. And as for cell phones, I can use my son as an example where I track what he's doing, not everything, but a lot of things, right? Because I'm pretty busy myself. So I try to stay on top of it. And anything that he sees or goes to, and I'm not sure what it is, we discuss it. We sit down and we talk about it. We sit down as a family for dinner. So that's usually when we have these discussions. And so there's this one specific website. I'm like, what is this? I don't know what this is. And so I'd like you to explain it to me before I go and look for it myself. And he had explained to me that it was a website his friend sent him to, and it was a group. It was a group site for discussing suicide. And at this time in his life, that was one of the things he kept saying to us. He
Mm.
kept saying, well, I'll just go commit suicide. I'll just go commit suicide. And I'm going, where is this coming from? Like, what the heck? I'm going to find out there's a group, and you can find it on uh, Discord, and I forget what the other one was, another website, but it was a specific group to discuss suicide, how to commit suicide, different ways to do it. And he gave me that information. That's not something I want in my son's hand. You know what I mean?
Mhm. I got you. I mean, I, with handwriting for me, it's about discipline. And I want my kids, like one of my kids, he's writing, he's above the line, he's nowhere in the middle of the line. And I'm like, it's literally basics of discipline, like you should be able to slow yourself down, write a little bit slower, and so that I can have it readable. Now, it still doesn't matter. So that leads me to the next question. The next question is about discipline. I do mental health, and I have parents that are coming in and they're like, David, can you please submit paperwork to the school so that my child doesn't have to go to the bathroom where the normal restroom, because they're afraid that they're walking into a room full of vaping. Kids are smoking weed even in the classrooms. I had one of my students tell me one kid was in the back vaping marijuana in the back of the class. And so, what do you think you could bring to the table a perspective on how we can get discipline back in the schools?
So glad you mentioned that. Like I said, I work with kids and a lot of teenagers who bring me information from inside the schools. And one of the things that happened in one of the schools, the girl was telling me about that, a bunch of kids encroached on a teacher and surrounded her because she asked one of those kids to put their cell phone away. And so they encroached around her so she couldn't get out of that circle of kids. And it ended up being an issue and disruptive to the class. And the girl was telling me that, I'm here to learn. Like, I want to learn something. I want to go to college. And that disrupted the entire class. And we missed an entire lesson for that day. And that story brought me to discipline and how to implement it. I'm not exactly sure because why aren't we implementing it now is my question. Like, has where has Frederick County decided that teachers can't say no and the kids follow? And if the kids don't follow, 3 strikes, you're out. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, then you can't come here anymore. You are expelled. You are suspended. Like, when did we stop that? Why isn't that happening now? Which goes back to what I said earlier. I would like to go back to the roots of the school where it was about education and about learning rather than not holding people accountable. Kids were held accountable when I was in school. And kids were held accountable at my son's last school. Why are they not being held accountable now? So I need to find, and that's a great question, and I'm really glad you asked it. I need to find where where exactly the discipline is lacking and why we cannot discipline. And why can we not have a suspension because of behavior?
I mean, listen, special education is a really big problem, and I know that some of the schools that have pyramid, some of the kids and the staff, they just kind of rule the whole hallways. Like if their kids are running back and forth, and even some have had reports that they ran out of the building. They're chasing the children down, and it gives us a really bad look nationally. What do you think you can bring to the table to even help with the special education problem?
Mm, I love special education. And I love those kids. They're fantastic, wonderful, bright. I read this book one time called Would You Teach a Fish to Climb a Tree? And it's about special needs, right? Where a lot of people put, an idea on top of them that they can't do things, right? But they actually can. They can do a lot more than we think they can. I think the best way to handle that is finding people that truly care and want to be there. Someone who, in their heart, has passion and curiosity, right? The curiosity to figure out what this kid does best, what this kid is really good at, and then let's educate them on this. Like utilizing what they're good at and then educate them on that. It's so much fun to see their and to get excited about it. And then you, the teacher, get excited with them. It is amazing. I think that would be a very, very good approach. And yeah, that's exciting.
Teachers, we're either having a shortage of teachers, the classroom sizes are getting bigger. Um, Whether some people say that's a good, bad, indifferent, smaller classrooms, but what do you think you can bring to the table to either encourage teachers to come to Frederick County, and how would you go about getting them comparable salaries with Montgomery County, Washington County, Howard County, and Carroll County?
So, excuse me, I was looking somewhere. It was on FCPS website where it showed um, that the teachers had gotten a raise, and the purpose of the raise was to better education, and that was like 7 years ago, I think. Don't quote me, but I have it somewhere, right?
I won't.
Um, and what I remember thinking at that moment as I was reading it was that it didn't work then, and that's what they're implementing now. What makes them think that throwing money at it is going to happen, right? First of all, if the teachers aren't doing what they need to do, right? Or what is required. What is required of a teacher? A requirement of a teacher is to be able to control the room, right? To get everyone to pay attention, to get everyone involved, right? And in order to do that, they need a good education system somewhere along the lines. When I was stationed overseas, the teachers there had to have a degree in science in order to teach science. They had to be a mathematician in order to teach math. It wasn't just an overall general education degree that they got. They had to specialize in liberal arts or something along those lines in order to teach a class. And these teachers spoke many different languages. It was absolutely amazing. My son's last school was the same way, right? The math teacher was a mathematician. The biology teacher had a major in science, and all of them spoke more than two languages. And that gave the gift to the kids of education because the teachers were educated. I'm not sure if an education degree nowadays is doing that. So I need to do more research. Thank you for bringing it up. to see what it is that's being taught to the teachers so that I can say for sure what teachers should be taught.
Listen, 17 people running. You're just one of them. The question that I want to ask is if somebody's gonna stop at Tabitha McLaughlin's name, tell me if they hit that button and they say, that's my person. I want them to represent me. What is it that you're going to stand up for that parent?
I've watched I've what I'd really like to see in the Board of Education is a balance. Right now, across the board, it's a lot of yays with no nays. And without a nay, without some kind of debate, there is no balance. And also, what I've seen is that the parents and the kids are not being listened to. I haven't had the opportunity right now to listen to the kids and what the kids want. When did we stop listening to the children, especially the high schoolers? What do you think could be better? How do you think you could have learned better? What would you have enjoyed more? And what would have created the curiosity to learn more? What would have given you more discipline? Those kinds of questions, right, to the kids so that we can pass that along. Same thing with parents. I don't think enough parents know or spend enough time to listen to the Board of Education, to hear what the Board of Education is saying and doing. And I'd really like to get their input. I'd really like to have more of them talk to me, tell me what's going on. Because I'm the eighth name down. And if you're just voting downward, I'm out. But if you think the name McLoughlin and you think that I want you to be involved, I want the teachers to be involved. I want them to tell me what you need, tell me what you're looking for. Just me personally, come to me, call me, let me pick up the phone and talk to you. It doesn't have to go by email. Let's just get this conversation going and see how, where we can move forward to benefit everyone. Teachers shouldn't have to deal with the behaviors of these kids. They really shouldn't. And the parents shouldn't have to deal with the behaviors of the Board of Education if it's not in line with what parents want. And the kids really shouldn't have to deal with what the adults say is right or wrong or incorrect. They should be listened to and heard as well.
Well, I tell you, you were in the military at one point. Sounds like you are a true fighter. And so I like people that get on the board that are willing to fight because I'm tired of the old rollover mentality. Because I'm a fighter. I've always been a fighter. I love that you're managing businesses and that means that you understand money because we have a lot of issues in the fiscal area also. So all I can say is that I wish you luck and I hope that you go out there and you keep fighting for these children, parents, teachers, and administration.
David, thank you so much for having me. This has been awesome. I am so grateful. You've
Told
been
you what,
my first Zoom interview. I'm so excited.
well, I told you it wasn't going to be that bad.
You did.
All right. Well, good to see you. All right.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.